If you're building with AI, you know one of the biggest headaches isn't always the training, it's the evaluation. I mean, how do you really know if your model is getting any better? So today, we're going to dive into a really powerful and honestly super popular technique using a large language model to judge another AI's performance. All right, let's just kick things off with what I think is the single most important line on this whole topic. Let AI grade AI carefully. This one little sentence, it pretty much sums up the whole story, right? The incredible promise, but also the huge risks we need to watch out for. And that's the billion-dollar question, isn't it? How do we use this amazing new power, this automated evaluation, without falling into all the hidden traps? Well, that is exactly what we're here to unpack. How do you, the builder, get this right? Okay, so first things first, let's talk about the problem we're all trying to solve here. It's something every single AI team slams into eventually. We call it the evaluation bottleneck. Because, let's be honest, the old way of checking your model's work, it's just a massive drag. And this just lays it out perfectly. On one side, you've got human grading. Yeah, it's the gold standard for quality, no doubt. But it is painfully slow, it costs a ton of money, and you can't ever scale it fast enough to keep up. But then, look at the other side. The potential of AI grading, it's lightning fast, it's super cheap, and you can scale it to millions of examples without even breaking a sweat. So this brings us to the solution that's really changing the game for developers everywhere. The core idea is simple, right? Let AI grade AI. And the official name for this method is LLM as a judge. So what is an LLM as a judge really? Well, it's when you take a super powerful, top-of-the-line model, think something like a GPT-4 or Claude 3, and you give it a very specific job, to be the grader for the model you're trying to build. It's kind of like hiring an expert AI to check your student AI's homework. And look, the upside here is just huge. We're talking about being able to run an experiment, generate thousands of new answers, and get a quality score on every single one of them in minutes, not days or weeks. That kind of speed totally changes how fast you can build and improve things. But you knew there was a but coming, right? This isn't some perfect magic bullet. If you just jump into this without knowing the pitfalls, you're gonna get burned. You'll end up with bad data that leads you in the completely wrong direction. So what are these hidden flaws? The first big one is bias. See, the judge model, it's got its own opinions. It might like longer answers, or maybe it prefers a more formal tone. It might even have a weird thing for answers that start with certainly. If you're not careful, you'll end up building a model that's great at pleasing the judge, but not so great at pleasing your actual users. And this next one is just as bad. Inconsistency. This one is really frustrating. You could literally give the judge the exact same answer on Monday and get an 8 out of 10. Then you run it again on Tuesday, and poof, it's a 6. How are you supposed to know if you're making progress with that kind of randomness? So, okay, it's biased, it's inconsistent, sounds pretty bad, right? Well, the good news is we can fix it, or at least we can manage it. There are some really clear best practices you can follow to build a judge you can actually trust. It all comes down to these 3 pillars. First up, you have to be super specific with your instructions. Give it a clear, detailed rubric. Don't just ask if an answer is good. Ask things like, does it directly answer the user's question, yes or no? Second, use multiple judges. That could be different models or just running the same judge a few times to average out the scores and smooth out the noise. And third, and this is the big one, you have to constantly calibrate your AI judge with human scores. All right, let's double-click on that third pillar, calibrating with humans, because honestly, this is where the magic happens. It's this active process called adjudication. You start with a golden set of examples that your best human raters have scored. Then you let your AI judge score them. You look at where they disagree, and then you go back and tweak the AI's prompts and rubrics until its scores start lining up with the humans. You can't skip this step. It's absolutely crucial. Okay, so we've built a better, more reliable judge. Now what? What's its actual job in your workflow? You'll see it's definitely not to replace humans altogether. I love this analogy. It's the perfect way to think about it. Your LLM judge is not some all-knowing Supreme Court justice making final, binding decisions. No way. Think of it as this super fast assistant who's really, really good at sorting through a giant pile of work, even if they make a few mistakes along the way. So, here's the bottom line, the big takeaway. Use your LLM as a judge for that initial massive scale screening. Use it to get a quick signal on whether a change you made is probably good or probably bad. But for the final word on quality, especially right before you ship something to users, the final call, that has to be a human. And that really brings us to the final question you should be taking back to your team. After hearing all of this, the power, the pitfalls, and the pillars for doing it right, take a good, hard look at your own process and ask yourself, is your AI judge ready for the bench?